Let's go. We are back, baby, to return on that conversation that we were having last week. Brothers, Sam, Marlon, Alejandro, what's going on? How's your week going so far?
Dude, amazing. And I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys. I was gone last week.
You were
Now I'm
gone,
here.
bro. You were
You guys,
gone.
I know you guys absolutely slayed it without me. Even though I wasn't there, I got at least 50 to 100 people reaching out to me talking about how amazing it was. And it actually makes it really makes me really sad that I missed out on all the value. So I think I have to go back and watch it all. But guys, I've missed you all. Marlon, you especially. I was in Phoenix this past weekend for a mastermind event, and the one time that I go to Phoenix, you're not there. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not pissed off, and
Oh, he
I'm a
did that
little
to you too,
Bro,
bro. He did the same thing to me, bro.
yo, y'all messing with me.
Bro, Sam
He
came to
wasn't there when
Phoenix
I
and
was in Arizona.
I didn't even see him. How about that one?
Yo, so okay, so Daryl was in town and he just refused to hang out with me the entire time. The entire time that I was there. He was just too tired. He had to go on a run. He, had some girls over, all that kind of stuff. And I feel neglected, guys. That's kind of it. But Alejandro, my man, my brother, mi hermano, how are you doing?
I'm doing amazing, bro. I'm glad to be here. The quads were in here, about to kill it.
The quads.
Yo, it's about to be exciting, man. And like every time I listen to Alejandro through that microphone, I'm just like, yo, what are we doing? Like, why are we not all sounding like the late night DJ?
Well, yeah, you know what? I
Never
think
split the
eventually he
difference,
might
bro.
just, Alejandro needs to give us that affiliate plug for that mic so we can all upgrade our stuff and have half a decent enough, setup. I mean, Alejandro's got the formal podcast, amazing, beautiful setup that probably costs $75,000. I've just got a pink light behind me. Daryl's got his little sound panels. Marlon's in church, so we're we're doing what we do. But guys, okay, since I missed last week, so this whole series, right? We're part two, guys. We're part two today on how to make $10,000 in basically your first 30 days of doing real estate investing. Guys, give us a recap of what happened last week while I was gone.
Yeah, for sure. So last week we sat down and we really dove into if we were starting brand new in real estate, had no money, did not know up from down, left from right. Are we in a good market, bad market? I don't know what to do, Sam. How do I make my first 10K? And ultimately, the same dividing thread, the same golden thread is we recognize I would go work inside of somebody else's existing organization. I would go and find a producer. I'd go and find somebody that's already making money at this business who already has a pre-established conveyor belt, and I would go and plot my butt in someone else's seat and really make it work from that standpoint, from being able to learn not just acquisitions or dispositions, but being able to see how the entire business runs. And then later recognizing I'll be able to reproduce that at some point in time. But remember, during the time that you're working in someone else's organization, your business does not exist. Your business is on the back burner. You are there to serve inside someone else's organization and learn, right? There's got to be an equal value exchange. Do that, and you will end up attracting in the future the sort of employee that you were.
So, okay, I like that for a few reasons, right? One is time. Giving ourselves a 30-day time window. You guys know me. You're all my bros. You guys know that I like aggressive timelines, and 30 days is an aggressive timeline. But here's another part of that, right? It's the money portion. Like, not only is it going to take you a lot of time to get your LLCs going, to get your systems going, to learn everything and get your infrastructure in place, but on top of that, that costs a lot of money. Systems cost money. LLCs, guys, you got your Secretary of State filing fees. If you have someone do it for you, got to pay them some money. Then you have data fees to get some data. You got to go pull some lists, skip trace, get some systems, get a dialer, get some cold callers, whatever you're doing, right? All these things cost money. So I love that, not just from a time perspective, but from a financial perspective, because I can imagine that a lot of people who are going to watch this are probably getting out, right? They're starting out, and they may not have a ton of money to begin with. And I mean, I can almost guarantee that because of the fact that they're here. Looking up how to make $10,000 in 30 days with real estate investing probably means that your current life situation is not extremely abundant as far as finances are concerned. So you're looking for a change. So, dude, we're here to help. And I love that. You guys know me. I'm all about getting plugged into established REI businesses. It is the fastest way to skip the learning curve. But I do want to set this expectation. I'm sure you guys did this last week, but this resonates with me. If you are new and you are getting started, know that your first year is not for you. Will not make $1 million in your first year, guys. Unless you are maybe fix and flipping in Beverly Hills, or you just luck out, or something outlandish happens, you are not going to make $1 million in your first year. Your first year is honestly all about maybe getting a few deals under your belt so you get some proof of concept. But most importantly, it's just learning the ropes. It's learning the ecosystem. And the fastest way for you to do that is to get plugged into someone else's team. So, okay, amazing. Alejandro, where do we kind of go from here? So that was part one, right? That's the conclusion we went to. What are we going to cover for today?
Well, what we should cover today is other strategies on how to still, be able to make $10,000 in a month. Because let's be honest, some people don't like the idea of working for someone. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that you still can't make $10,000 in a month. There's still other methods you can do it. So don't worry for those people that I just don't want to work for someone. I get it, man. It's still other methods we can do. And that's what Daryl, Sam, and Marlon and I are going to go through today.
Yep. Awesome. So Daryl and I actually, we sat down for lunch earlier today, and we were talking and discussing. Essentially, I asked Daryl the question. I was like, bro, real talk, lose everything today, everything's gone. You got to rebuild 10K in 30 days. What's the first thing you're doing? And we've already taken it off the table that you can't go and work for somebody else. That's off the table. What are you doing? His answer was so quick. Like, Daryl, you want to give him the answer?
It's simple, right? Like we talked about it, right? We want to start with the end in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find 2 to 3 buyers who are actually buying, right? Like real buyers. I'm not going to go in a Facebook group and ask who's buying properties, right? Because then everybody's going to say I'm buying properties. I'm actually going to go actually look up who's done fix and flips in my market, in my area, right, recently, and give them a call, right? Figure out what they want, figure out what they're looking to buy, what they're looking for in this area, and I'm going to go find it, right? Whether that's talking to agents, talking to wholesalers, talking marketing myself, right? I'm going to go find it. So that's what I said. Start with the end in mind. Find somebody who's actively looking for deals, and go find them a deal.
See, I like this because, last week when we were talking about how we all got our first deal, this is exactly how I was able to get my first deal, and actually first couple of deals. So I did exactly what Daryl said. I went and I found the end buyer. See, a lot of times we get so caught up, and I want people, especially the newer individuals in this industry, even some of the older individuals who've been doing this for some months now, to recognize and realize your true customer is not the seller. It's not the real estate agent you're talking to. It's the end buyer. It's the end investor that's actually purchasing the contract from you. So in any other business, if you were going to get into, let's say, personal training, you might want to understand what your client's needs are, right? You wouldn't just start saying, hey, I'm just going to show how to do the perfect push-up every time, all the time. You might want to inquire from your client what their goal is, what they're looking to get. Why wouldn't we do the same thing in real estate wholesaling? Well, the answer is we do want to do the same thing. We do actually want to go and have that conversation with them. And I was fortunate enough to learn from my buyers exactly what they were looking for, down to the zip code, down to the price point, down to how they actually ran their numbers on renovation. So it gave me all the tools and resources I needed so that when I was having those conversations, I can now actually guide and direct them versus talking in circles, because that's what I see a lot of individuals do when they pick up the phone and they're not actually sure what they're going to do after they get a contract. It's kind of like the dog. It doesn't know what it's going to do if it ever actually catches the car, right? We want to figure that out first. So, I'm curious to know between Sam, Alejandro, and Daryl, when it comes to, because I think we're identifying that the second fastest way, or the fastest way to go and get a deal, is to start with your buyer in mind. How would we go about finding a qualified buyer? Because like Daryl said something when you go into the Facebook group, and if you type in, who's a buyer, you're going to get a lot of responses. And not all of those people are buyers. So how do we actually identify a good buyer?
Yeah, I mean, I can start on that one. The reality is, out of the 100 people that respond to that Facebook post, 99% of them are probably going to be wholesalers who just want to daisy chain your deal and they want to just sell your deal off to the next person. So, guys, Facebook is where deals basically. Oh, we just lost Daryl. I'm so sad now. He just wanted to go post in Facebook, I guess. So, guys, Facebook is where deals go to get daisy chained. It's not where deals go to get sold. And there's actually several ways to go find buyers, right? Now we have the typical, you can go pull a typical cash buyers list, but I don't really want to, I would like our sessions, or at least I'm going to make this session more about how to find those buyers without using tons of systems and processes that may cost money. It's like, yes, can you go pull a list of cash buyers and skip trace it and find them? 1,000% you can. But if you are super ultra tight on a budget and using real estate systems makes your head freaking hurt, one of the easiest ways and the simplest ways, it's one of the most overlooked things. This is something I talked about with someone this past weekend. It is as simple as getting in your car and driving around where your deal may, if you're local, right? If you are local, going around where your deal may be at and looking for active construction sites, active projects, right? And how do you easily spot them? These are houses that very clearly look like they're, in some distress or they're being renovated. Maybe the roof is like in some level of repair. And the easiest tell is very often there's a giant dumpster out front, right? It is a giant trailer dumpster out front. And especially if you see construction workers with maybe some vests going in, or they look like handyman types, then very often that is a live fix and flip, right? That what you want to do is you want to go in there, actually like meet the people who are doing the work. Very often the actual owner of that property may not actually be there, but there will be a GC, someone we call a general contractor, which by the way, for later on is a phenomenal resource for you guys to have an actual GC, right? And talk to that GC, talk to the person in charge. Hey, who owns this property? Is it you? If it's not, do you mind connecting me with the owner? I actually may have a deal for him right down the road. And hey, because I'll actually let him know that you brought him, you gave me his information. And then what we'll do is very likely you'll have another project that you're going to be in. So it'll incentivize that GC to kind of fork over that information because he actually may get another project out of it. But that's like for the person who has no money, right? They're local. They're trying to just rig the system and just do it the real sweat equity way. That's 100% the way that I would go about doing it.
So you're saying it's that simple, bro? Like I can literally go around the corner and find.
Dude, it is absolutely that freaking simple. Like, guys, there's this massive problem in real estate investing and entrepreneurship in general, and that is that people overcomplicate what it takes to get this job done. So as simple as getting in your car and driving around and actually just finding an active site, man, it's going to turn into an amazing opportunity, right, Daryl? I mean, like if you go there, you meet that contractor, they do a walkthrough of the property with you. Like, hey, we're doing this to this, right? We're changing out the flooring. It had carpet. We're taking out. We're putting in laminate, right? The countertops were Formica. We're ripping that out right now. It'll actually, turn into an amazing learning experience. And if the GC is kind of cool with it, you might be able to snag little bits of content too for your social media. But yeah, man, absolutely. Like this game is that simple. So guys, give me some other ways that may require a little bit more funds, or how else would you guys go about finding some buyers?
Yeah, man. So, something that I did, which was really, really helpful in my market, because, Sam, some people might be thinking to themselves, hey, but I'm not local to my market, right? Listen, I live up in Alaska and I've been learning that I can do deals out of Florida. So I've been calling on properties in Florida. So I don't quite know how to, get into my car and drive out there. So another good way to get a hold of good qualified buyers is actually a bit of a cheat code that most people don't think about. And you're going to want to watch this again and again. You're going to come back to this part because I'm about to give some secret sauce. It's reaching out to your title company, right? reaching out to the title company that's an investor-friendly title company that you should have built a relationship with. If you haven't built a relationship with, no worries. It's actually one of the easiest relationships to build. Getting a good title company on your power team is probably one of the easiest things to do, in my opinion. And you reach out to your title company and you let them know. First off, you make sure if you're brand new and you're having the conversation with them for the very first time, you're just going to ask them, hey, are you investor friendly? Do you do wholesale and assignment of contract? Are you okay with double closing? Find out if they're actually okay with these sort of things. They might respond by saying, absolutely not. That stuff is terrible. You move on. Don't even try to have a conversation with them. Don't try to convince them. You simply move on. Once you hear that they are investor friendly, they're going to probably say something like, oh my gosh, we work with investors all the time. We can do assignments. We can do double closing. We can do seller financing, all that good stuff. Great. Listen, I'm getting ready to turn on my marketing in the local area. And you see, I live in a different market. And in my market, I was able to get connected to strong vetted buyers through talking with my local title company because they know who's actually closing on deals and who sometimes just hold contracts up in escrow, which become a nightmare for the seller. They become a nightmare for the wholesaler. They become a nightmare for the title company. It's a headache. So my title company in my last market actually put together a list for me of just about 5 of the favorite investors that they like to work with, who they see perform really well, and they connected us. Now, I'm not sure if you're okay with giving out their contact information. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. However, is there a way for you to connect me or vice versa, you to connect them with me so that I can now know who the real performers are and I can begin to put my marketing towards their project, their next project? Oh my gosh, that works so well. My title company, not only, Sam, did they give me a full list of about 15 of their favorite buyers, she actually coded it in rating and ranking. She gave it to me on a 1 to 5 star ranking, along with their LLC names, along with their cell phone numbers. So,
Dude,
I'll be the first to say not every title company will do this. I've had title companies tell me that they cannot and will not give me the contact info. And I've had other title companies say absolutely yes, because I want everyone to remember this. Your title company, some people might be thinking, what's their incentive? Well, they don't get paid unless the deal gets closed. So they only want to work with performers. Remember that.
100%. I think the biggest difference there is when you look at title companies, right? Title companies, guys, they get to see the nitty gritty, right? They see the settlement statements, they see the funding, they know who plays loose and messy games with wires coming in on time and smooth waves, right? The reality is the best buyers, they don't miss their wire transfers. They come in on time. They don't have problems getting their LLC docs in on time to get title reports pulled. Like title companies and escrow officers get to see all of that. And the number one thing that I like about this kind of goes back to my GC take early, and I love that Marlon kind of tied this in, is that you will get auxiliary or secondary, tertiary benefits of building these relationships with title companies, right? Like title companies are also a phenomenal place to go for free lists. Title companies get some of the best data there is because they go direct to the source, and it can be a free lead gen source for you. Look at that. Daryl got so excited. He went to a title company right now. He's actually knocking on the door. He wants some free lists. He wants some buyers. So guys, when we talk about implementation of what we teach you, this is what I mean. The fact that Daryl just left is exactly what we're going for. Alejandro, is there any other method that you wanted to address? I've got one more that's a little bit sneaky. But I want to see what you got.
Yes, I do actually. Finding buyers are so fun to me, bro. And there's actually so many different methods that you can do it for free. Is it okay if I share my screen a little bit? Because I know they have some monkey see, monkey do's in here, just like myself. You probably don't want to see it.
I would
is that
love
cool with you?
I would absolutely
Okay.
love that.
Okay, let me see. Share screen. Okay, let me see. Window.
Yeah, in the first 20 minutes, we've already given enough direction on, like, somebody should be able to go out and get a deal tomorrow.
Bro, without a doubt.
Yeah. If anyone's
Exactly.
wondering, if anyone's at a newbie, guys, we're like, I think we're all headed there, but none of us are, massively rich, massively established people. But the reality is, we're like, for all of us, I'm telling you right now, the information given is more than enough for you to go and deploy and get some success. Dang, I think Alejandro is stealing the idea that I had for next. Okay.
Oh damn, V.
Ooh,
It's okay, bro. We can share.
Dallas.
We can share it. So let's go
Ooh,
to Dallas,
Dallas is
Texas, real
beautiful.
quick. So this is what I used to do when I was doing dispo. So I would check for sale, and then on the filter, let me reset all filters here on Zillow. On the filter, you can put renovated. Cool stuff. Renovated, it's going to be what means that it's going to be a fix and flipper, ideally, right? So when you see these properties for sale, obviously you know this can be a fix and flipper. So what you do is you contact the realtor that's presenting the buyer. So you reach out to the realtor. Hey, realtor, I saw that you're representing a fix and flipper on, Kingsbury Drive. Do you know if your buyer's is looking for any more properties in the area? And that's it, right? They're going to tell you yes or no. And listen, when it comes to realtors, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to pound the phone. You're going to have to keep calling them because they're busy getting a lot of other phone calls from people. And you want to make sure you get them on the phone so they can be able to help you. And I'm sure that realtor may know someone else that's in the market for another property, even though that their fix and flipper is not looking for another fix and flip house. That easy.
Dang.
And it can go more into details, but this is just the easiest way for free. There's other tools you can use that if you don't want to talk to the realtor, you can actually find a buyer. But I'm just going to leave it right here.
I mean, that's massive, right? That's massive. And you went to the for sale, right? The ones that are actively listed right now, they're actively on market being sold. I do the exact same thing. That's actually that's personally is my immediate recommendation to everyone is to use that Zillow hack. Why? Because guys, trust me, in this game, you're going to use Zillow pretty much every single day of your career that you're actively doing this business. I would actually, the only edit that I would make to that, or this is just I guess a matter of personal preference, wherever your deal is, right? Maybe this zip code or this subdivision or this block, instead of going to for sales, go to solds and then just scroll through the listings. It's easy to spot a fix and flip a mile away. Like the one that Alejandro showed is a very obvious one, right? It's got all the modern touches. It's got professional photos that have been edited. And here's the cool thing about that. When you go to those, listings on Zillow, you go scroll down, right? And then you'll see what's known as price and sale history. And what you can actually quickly see is that, property sold, let's just say 6 months ago, but it was bought 5 months before that, right? 4 months before that. That buy price a little bit earlier is what the fix and flipper actually paid for it. And usually that's what they paid a wholesaler for it. So if that fix and flipper bought it for $240 and they sold it for $300, right? They have a gross spread of $60,000, which is actually not that fantastic. That's probably not an amazing fix and flipper there. But well, that's beside the point. But what that means is that fix and flipper in that area, you can actually just call them up, right? You can you can reach out to the realtor, you can go to the LLC, you can skip trace them, get the owner's information, and you say, hey, you have this property on 123 Main Street in this specific zip code, right? And I actually have a house that's maybe about 2 streets down, right? 2.5 minutes away. I think I can actually sell it to you at the exact same price that you bought 123 Main Street at. Are you interested? And this is one of the easiest ways to do it. And guys, this whole setup, right? Whether you did it this way or the way that Alejandro showed everyone on Zillow, that costs zero freaking money. Like, that's the most beautiful thing about this, guys. So like Daryl pointed out earlier, this game, you don't have to have a massive budget to it. It is actually as simple as just looking online at public record, and Zillow is great for that. But I think we're good on finding buyers. I mean, Daryl, unless there's another way that you love to find buyers.
Yeah, but you got to pay for it. So I don't know if we should talk about that one today.
Yeah, well, let's go and skip over that, right? We don't want people to spend a lot of money right now. Okay, guys. So first and foremost, we found the buyers, right? This is actually the most important thing, especially in a market that is trending downward.
Time out. Found a way, bro. How could we forget?
Hit us.
Get off of the damn couch and go to these meetups, real estate meetups where investors are at, other wholesalers, buyers, real estate agents. Connect with that's a great, like, if you want to use Facebook, use it for that. Figure out where these meetups are at, figure out where these RIAs are at, where people are meeting up, doing the things that you want to do, because that's where you're going to find your buyers. Marlon, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you find
that's where I found my very first buyer, and that buyer has been the reason like I got into the market I'm in. That buyer, like that first meetup, that was the very first meetup I went to, and I mean it gave me every resource from a buyer to list to other wholesalers to buy deals from to private capital. So yeah, if you're not going to in-person RIAs, if you're not finding your local RIA, if you're telling me you don't have a local RIA, start a local RIA. You need to be at the local RIA. If you're brand spanking new and you're like, I've never even done real estate before, but we don't even have a local RIA, start it. You can start it by saying we're going to have a watch party of Marlon, Sam, Daryl, and Alejandro every Tuesday night at our house, and then we're going to hang out and network for an hour afterwards. Yep. That's your local RIA, and it will grow. It will get resources.
That's so huge, guys. And not to go off on too much of a tangent, but I like things that have multiple returns, right? As investors, we look for leverage, we look for ROI, return on investment, right? Any activity that you do, guys, your time is your greatest resource, period. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters, or it doesn't matter as much as your time does. And I always look for the greatest ROI on my time. And when you're throwing, or you go to a RIA, or you make your only RIA, right? You make your own RIA. Guess what that does to you in that marketplace, right? You don't have to be doing deals yet. You don't. But it's going to start giving you. Oh, shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nick,
baby.
Podcast,
right? Oh man.
Oof.
Super chats, baby.
Guys, that's the first for this podcast, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Whoa, wait. Sam, you missed last week when it turned into a fight for I was getting cashed out by Ayaza and Randy Concepcion. Like they were just like going at it because we were dropping so much value that they just started. I don't even know how they got my Cash App, bro. I didn't even know I had Cash App. So I started getting text messages that I was getting Cash App.
That's what I saw that on your Instagram. And now, okay, so while I was away doing an episode of The Origin Story, you guys were actually making money on the podcast. Okay,
for sure.
I'm just a little hurt. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, shout out to Nick Play. Nick, it's good to see you here, bro. But guys, back to the return on investment on your time. Right, you don't have to be doing tons of deals yet. You can still be brand spanking new, but if you can establish yourself as someone in your community who is consistent and who shows up, and you are documenting all of this for social media, right? And you're documenting this journey of you getting investing and you starting. One, not only in 5 years, you're going to look back at all that and be like, man, it's amazing to see how I got started, like actually see it in visual format. What you're doing is you're establishing a presence in your market as an authority, as a go-to. So for all the people that go to your RIA, right, who may be newer than you, if they start going and doing deals maybe 6 months from now, they're going to think about when they need help, who is a trusted source for me that is consistent, that shows up, and that gives a damn about this community and a damn about new investors like me. So guys, throwing your own investor meetups is one of the greatest things that you guys can do. And I mean, can I give like a shameless plug here real quick? Because we're talking about this.
Bro, please.
So next, this upcoming weekend, we actually have Pace Morby, Jamil Damji flying into Fresno, California to speak at an event. We're actually hosting a meetup right after an after party. So guys, and this is what it's all about, right? What are we going to do? I'm in Fresno, California, right in the middle of California. We're going to get all the people from the surrounding regions to come in, and they're there to see Pace, they're there to see Jamil, right? But they're going to do deals together. They're going to feel tangibly, right? They're going to feel like they're part of a community. I'm on an island. I feel like I'm away from, the campfire that is Phoenix, Arizona. And every time I go back, it is just a different freaking feeling to just feel that presence. But okay, guys. So we've got Zillow, we've got title companies, we've got driving around in your car and just finding an ongoing site, and we've got going to local meetups. I think we're good on finding a buyer, right?
Yep.
So, if we had to put a term on what we're talking about here, right? This is actually known as reverse wholesaling. And this was actually kind of coined. This term was actually coined by one of my great mentors, Kent Clothier, back in 2008, 2009, during that big crash. And this is so critical. It's so critical to know what your buyers want. If you guys if for those people who like kind of analogies and comparisons, think about Starbucks, guys. When you go to Starbucks and you go to the drive-thru, Do they have every frap, every latte, every cappuccino, every item on their menu like readily made at the counter waiting for someone to come and buy it? No. You drive up to the drive-through, you go to the little speaker box thing, you order what you want, and then they make it for your order. This way, they don't waste tons of their resources. They don't waste ingredients. They don't waste all their money and their time, making things that will just go to waste. So to cap it off, this is, I believe, in the last 2, 3, 4 years, there's been a gross kind of misnomer that's been thrown out by a lot of fake gurus in real estate and wholesale, and that is this: go find a deal first, and the buyers will come. That only works, guys. Like, even in the greatest market, when hedge funds were overpaying for every single deal, man, if you go get a deal and the numbers make sense on the deal, it's a great deal, but it's in the middle of Alabama, out in the boonies, like, it's not going to get sold, period. So that is a complete lie. Don't do it that way. Telling all 4 of us will tell you, first and foremost, when you do this game, put your buyers first, figure out what their order is. Let's go supply that order. Okay, Marlon, we've got our buyers, right? We've taken them out to lunch. We take them out to dinner, right? We have a relationship with them. We know what they want. What's our next steps?
Love it. So now that you've gotten the buyer, the most critical aspect and where you're actually getting paid, let's figure out what they want. So made to order, which means we want to have a conversation about what is their buy box, what's their buying criteria, asking them very simple questions, not annoying them, but just really getting to understand, what is it that you will buy? What is it that you won't buy? What area do you want to be in? I'm going to go find that deal for you. Right? That's the question I want you to think about. You want to ask them, where are you buying? What zip codes, right? Are there particular zip codes? Where will you absolutely not touch? Where would it be a waste of time no matter what I bring you to bring? And then what are you not touching at all? Are you not touching fire damage? Are you not touching flood damage? Are you not touching anything that needs to be lifted? Right? Figuring out from them, what won't you touch? Because once you now have their buy criteria, I think the easiest way, Sam, and this is what I would advise for people, the easiest way, if we're talking about spending absolutely no money, would be then to go ahead and get their buying criteria and then begin reaching out to other wholesalers, right? Actually talking to other wholesalers who already have discounted properties under contract, who went out and got a contract first, but have no clue how to bring a buyer to the table. They have no idea how to find a buyer, because we always talk about wanting to have conversations with motivated sellers, right? We hear that all the time. Go have many quality conversations with motivated sellers. Well, quick question for everybody. Who's more motivated than a wholesaler who spent the last 4 months following up with somebody who got themselves into a 21-day contract and they're sitting on day 14? I don't know any more motivated sellers.
And their due diligence period's running out, and their EMD is about to get forfeited 100%. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's anyone out there. And guys, these wholesalers are scrambling. And if you're one, I think we always want to encourage people to operate in the most ethical way possible, especially when they're dealing with sellers, right? Don't go lock up deals hoping that it's going to be a deal. Especially right now in a down economy, in a down market where people are already hurting. Let's not do that to sellers. Let's only lock up deals that we know for sure are going to be deals. And let's not wait till the last minute to try to throw it off to somebody else. But to Marlon's point, 1,000%. There are wholesalers who have the cold callers. They're doing texting. They're doing PPC. They're doing Facebook ads. They're driving around in their Prius, and just kind of driving for dollars. So, Alejandro, where can people find wholesalers who are doing deals?
Man, I mean, the first thing, hold on, I think I'm echoing somewhere. I would say you can go to Facebook groups. That's very easy. You can go real estate in your local market, Facebook groups, and then just look at wholesalers that are posting. You can literally stay there and just click refresh, and there's going to be a deal popping up in and out. And then once you see a deal that meets the criteria of the buyer that you built a relationship with, you message that wholesaler and be upfront and be like, hey, I'm the buyer. Can you send me the details? No, tell them, hey, would you be okay? This is what I do personally. I'm like, hey, would you be okay to JV with this deal? Because I have a buyer just give me about 24 hours, and I can have a response for you. I have a buyer that could potentially buy this deal. Would you be okay doing a JV with me? Don't be that wholesaler that's going to be like, hey, I'm the buyer, and then you're going to go sell it to another buyer or even market that deal. Don't do that. That's just going to make you like look bad. And real estate is a very small niche. Like it may be big, but once you do something really bad and a lot of people notice what you're doing, you're going to be kicked out the environment. So be careful. Facebook groups.
All right, we got Facebook groups from Alejandro, and I 1,000% have to echo that. Right, the ease of going to a wholesaler and finding a deal for them to to dispo is it's the quickest route in my opinion in this game. Right, this is also known as we have reverse wholesaling, but in the realm of reverse wholesaling, this is actually a niche of that, and this is what we call co-wholesaling or dispo wholesaling. Right, we go out into the world, we find a contract that's already locked up, and we just come in and we do the second half. Right. And that is just finding a buyer, connecting a buyer. To put into perspective, guys, literally today, shout out to Cody Rose. Cody Rose, he's in Florida, young guy. He's got a massive, successful future ahead of him in this industry. Cody's been working on this deal. He's been working on this amazing deal in Tampa, Florida. And he just needed a little bit of help with getting it across the finish line. He's put in so much work on the front end, talking to the seller, talking to the realtor involved, negotiating through and through and through and through. He's a little bit tired. Now he's got a contract. Well, he actually didn't even have the contract. He said, Sam, do you want to buy this deal? I looked at the deal and I said, hey, it's not for me, but I think I know a buyer who this would be perfect for. Absolutely perfect for. And I said, hey, give me a minute. Let me go send this to them. Literally right then and there, I sent a text to that potential buyer. And they said, hey, give me 15 minutes. Let me talk to my husband. 20 minutes later, they called me. They didn't text me. They called me. I want to buy it. When can you send over the assignment? Right then and there, we are locked in. So we said, hey, we've got a deal. We have a buyer at the end. So I said, hey, Cody, he didn't even have it under contract at the time, right? He's like, oh, you have a buyer at this price. And we looked at the numbers at that price. It's where the deal would actually get done and make sense for everybody. Then he ethically went back to the seller, got the signed contract. We are now opening up escrow, right? By the time we opened up escrow, we have a signed purchase agreement, a signed JV agreement between me and him, and a signed assignment agreement.
That's how it's supposed to go.
This is how, like, outside of an absolute, something horrendously unexpected happening, this is how deals get closed in the best possible way. Okay, amazing. Daryl, where else can we find some wholesalers, man?
You want to know a secret?
I love secrets.
That same real estate meetup that you met that buyer at, that wholesaler is going to be there too.
Big facts.
It's a one-stop shop. One-stop shop.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so, guys. Let's talk about let's take a minute because I want to stress to especially the new people the opportunities at these meetups, right? A lot of people are like, oh well, I'm a wholesaler. I don't want to go meet other wholesalers, right? Well, here's the reality: at some point, you may not be a wholesaler. You may become a buyer. You may become a lender once you've got ridiculous amount of money sitting in your bank account. So at these meetups, guys, there's wholesalers, right? There's acquisitions people, there's closers, there's dispo managers, there's title company reps who are going there to try to make a name for themselves and get some business. There's also private money lenders. Daryl, and later in the future, once you've gotten a few deals, wouldn't it, when you transition to becoming a buyer, you want to start doing rental properties, own some Airbnbs, you're going to need private capital, right?
Without a doubt. And it's crazy because I used to tell myself this story that I was the only wholesaler in my city, right? I'm like, nobody else is investing. Nobody else is wholesaling around me. Right, until I joined the community and realized there were thousands of people doing the same exact thing. I don't know about thousands, but hundreds of people doing the same exact thing, exactly where I'm at, right? And they're actually having these meetups and they're actually connecting with each other and networking, right? So if you're saying that they don't have these meetups where you're at, you're just not hanging around the right people. Make sure you get around the right people and figure out where these meetups are happening. Because like Sam was saying, your lenders are going to be there. Your buyers are going to be there. Other wholesalers are going to be there. And as you transition in this business, as you go from wholesaler to buyer to lender, all of these people are going to be crucial in your journey, right? So just talk to people, right? Like shout out to Brent Daniels, TTP. That literally saved my life, right? Like I used to go outside and not want to talk to anybody. I'd meet people, and like just not have conversations with them, even though just knowing this person may change my life. I used to be so scared just to have a conversation, right? And once I started having these conversations with people, you never know when this person can help you or when you can help them, right? So make sure you're getting out there, getting to these meetups and just talking to people, not be that fly on the wall. Put yourself out there.
And I'm going to add one thing, right? Because this falls into line with what Sam and Alejandro and Daryl are all saying, where if you really listen to Sam's story a little earlier, you would have noticed that he was able to text his buyer. His buyer picked up the phone and gave him a call. What's that tell you about the nature of the relationship, right? It's a true, genuine relationship. Yep. It's a relationship where you can pick them up, you can call them, you can show them the numbers before the property is even under contract. If you feel like you can't tell your buyer about the address before the property is officially locked under contract, here's what I would say. You and that buyer don't have a good enough relationship yet. And that's not anything negative about the buyer. It means you haven't done your job yet of cultivating the relationship that's going to grow your business. You need to go out and cultivate that relationship a little bit more. So to Daryl's point, this is why you got to be at those meetups when you possibly can. Go and show them that you're real. Go and show them that you are going to be in this industry for time to come, because nobody wants to spend any time with anyone that's going to be a fly-by-nighter.
You guys want to know? Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, bro. Like I want to hear, but like it's just if you can see that someone's all right, this person's serious. They're showing up to the meetups. They're committed to growing themselves, this business, and doing it the right way. That's a person worth putting time into, because other people are going to be the best investment that you make in your business. Besides yourself, other people are going to be your best ROI when you build those relationships.
Oh, 1,000, dude. Oh my God. I just love when Marlon just puts things into words. It's amazing. So guys, two things. One, that buyer that I called, that I texted, right? I actually met them at an in-person meeting for the first time we ever met. It was actually in person at the Clever Summit this year, early this year, March or April. And that was when we first really connected. We hit it off, and guess what? Up until now, we haven't done a deal together. We hadn't made any money together, but guess what we did? We've been in touch, right? Social media, on Instagram, DMs back and forth, just liking and commenting on each other's things. There's a level of rapport that's been built. And here's another critical thing for you to do with your buyers, guys, especially like Daryl said really early on, find 2 to 3. I say typically between like 3 to 5 of like the best ones that you can, who are accessible to you, right? So sometimes that might remove hedge funds, because hedge funds are usually these big corporations, but find like the people who are boots on the ground, getting it done day in, day out. Here's a critical thing. As your relationship with them evolves, over 5, 6, 7 months, also check in every now and then and see if their buying criteria is changing. Because guess what? I'm buying deals right now that I may not have bought. Or actually, I should say this. 6, 7, 8 months ago, before this downturn in the economy, I was buying deals that I absolutely will not even entertain right now. Why? Because we're in a totally different marketplace. Things are shifting drastically. So 1,000%, make sure you're following up with your buyers too and seeing how they're changing. Why? And most importantly, why are they changing? If your buyer has a change in buy box, find out why. Are they seeing something that you're not? This context, right, is going to be massive. So right now, one of the biggest reasons why buyers are pulling back on buying cash deals is because interest rates are through the roof. It's very important for you guys to know starting out. So, okay.
Well, I got a question real quick, Marlon, Sam, Alejandro. So what happens if I go to this buyer and I send him my address and he steals my deal?
Ooh.
So this, I'm gonna let someone else answer, because I have a very intense answer on it, but I'll try to dial it back in my head before I say anything. So Marlon, go for it.
So, I'll share this first. I have not had that happen yet. However, a part of me is kind of waiting for the day that like someone would be dumb enough to do that. Because I just want to see that person. I want to meet that person. Like, Did you really do you not think with longevity? Because here's the thing. If you're dealing with a true operator, someone who's really been doing this industry a long time, the most successful individuals in this industry have gotten that way by building their network and by building their reputation. So recognize that when they go to steal a deal from you for an extra $10,000 on the deal, that their reputation is worth much more than that. So if you're dealing with an actual operator, a true buyer, they're not going to throw away years and years and years of building a good reputation, of integrity, of doing the right thing to make an additional $10,000 from you. It's just not going to happen. Now, if you're dealing with individuals who would go behind your back and snake you, clearly you haven't been paying attention to a single thing we've been saying this whole time, and you have not found a good buyer yet. However, maybe that's just been my experience, and maybe, I don't know, Sam and Alejandro and Daryl, maybe y'all have run into some of these individuals. I've been extremely fortunate, and I think the energy I put out just doesn't bring those sort of people into my life.
I haven't had that happen to me. My partner Ricky is the one that handles Dispo most of the time, but when I was doing Dispo, it's really all about building the relationship with that buyer. Because if the buyer's really going to snake you like that, then that means you didn't do a good job of building the relationship. So instead of pointing fingers on whose fault is that, you should really look at what you did to prevent that. That's my take on that.
I would say this, guys. Be honest here. Be completely honest with you guys, especially everyone who's starting out. And this type of stuff is scary. Accept and embrace this. Deals will be stolen from you at some point. Period. No way around it. You will also be sued. If you make a career out of this business, you will be sued, probably tons of times. You will have tenants destroy your freaking properties. You will lose money. I just lost money on an ovation. The deal was good. Market changed. Things are completely out of our control. We lose money. We take it as a massive learning lesson. So here's the thing, guys. Just know this. No amount of relationship building will turn someone who has nefarious intentions in their heart into an amazing human being. The people who put monetary gain, we're all in this. At the end of the day, guys, this is a money game. It is. Money is a tool, and it allows us to go and create change in the world that we want to see, whether it's for ourselves or for other human beings or for a mixture of both. But the reality is the people who pride money over relationships, they're short-sighted human beings, right? They're absolutely short-sighted human beings. I don't think to this day, I don't think I've done a single deal with you guys. No, I don't think I have. No, not yet. I mean, one will change that eventually.
You signed a 360 deal with this podcast.
There we go. Exactly. So I know, right, that there is millions of dollars in the relationship that we're building here together, not just in real estate, but everything we do outside of it together. Guys, there was short-term sighted people, right? People who are short-sighted, and there's people who view the long-term first and foremost. This is one of the most important things that was taught to me by someone that I greatly love, Katie Manzanares. And I had a partner, not someone else snake me out of a deal. I had a partner do something horrible, a business partner. And she told me this when I needed to hear this. When someone shows you who they really are, they show you their true colors, believe them. So if they snaked a deal from you and you don't have any what we call equitable interest in the deal, you don't have any paperwork that secures you in the deal, take it as the greatest learning lesson that you just got. You just paid, what was your potential wholesale on that? $5,000. You just paid $5,000 of potential income to learn one of the most valuable lessons in this industry. Now, I do want to say this, right? Because no amount of relationship building will turn someone who's nefarious into an amazing human being. You have to ask yourself this, right? Marlon said when you're talking to someone and you kind of have this gut feeling like, I wonder if I should send this address out to someone. I want you to be very clear and self-aware. Ask yourself this and be honest with yourself. Is this a them thing or is this a me thing? Have I heard through the grapevine that a lot of other people, I don't know why, but some other people feel some way about this human being? Or is it just I'm so scared, I don't want to get this deal taken away, and you have no reason to blame the human being, right? If it's them and you can guarantee that it's a them thing, then great. Go with your gut. In my opinion, you should go with your gut 100% of the time. But if it's a me thing, I ask you to one, like the guy said, build better relationships, and two, take a leap of faith. take a leap of faith, operate in good faith, and don't do it for them, guys. Do it for yourself. You'll find out that you start operating from a better standpoint internally, and it'll make you into an amazing human being. Like, I know all these guys here, they would probably, and I wouldn't hesitate to do it either. Guys, would you guys all feel safe in sending me an address to a deal that you guys haven't locked up yet?
All day long.
Then I would do the exact same. Hell, I'd ask you guys to like help me. Like, guys, just do this deal for me. Just like lock it up. Do like Alejandro, you're the closer. Come and Daryl's a closer. You guys, well, actually, you're all freaking closers. You guys all come and do it. Marlon, you come manage the whole thing and just give me a paycheck at the end. Just I make what I make. Okay, so
to hit on that point, right? Like I actually had Marlon. We actually had this conversation one time, right? And I forgot how we got on this topic, but it was. Pretty much you said an analogy. You said a lot of times when people are scared, walking down the street scared to get robbed is because most of the times they may rob somebody themselves, right? So it's like if you're scared somebody is going to steal your deal, you might want to take a deeper look at yourself and see, is that something that you would actually do to somebody else? Because I know me personally, I would never even think about, like, that would never even cross my mind, somebody stealing my deal, like, because I don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to think about as well.
It absolutely is, and something that I want to make sure that we don't gloss over, because as Sam was speaking, as Daryl was speaking, I just never thought about this. It never came to the conscious top. However, it's probably one of the most valuable things that people should recognize. Understand that everything you're doing is also a part of building your reputation. When you go out and you build those relationships and you introduce yourself to people and you start showing up, you're building your reputation. Recognize how valuable that is. Although there's never been a price tag on reputation, you can't go into the store, you can't buy it on the mall. Bezos isn't selling it on Amazon. It is going to be one of the more valuable parts of your business wherever you go. It's going to be one of the most valuable parts of your brand wherever you go. So if you see that now, recognize, build your own. And secondly, if you have somebody that's a little bit, you're like, I'm a little uncertain of, remember, we're telling you to go find the top producers in your marketplace, the top buyers. Other people know them. So what you're able to do is, like, if I'm looking at, hey, I'm thinking about doing a deal with Alejandro, but I don't really know anything about this Alejandro guy, but I see he's in the DFW area. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to reach out to some other people. Hey, have you ever seen Alejandro before? Do you know anything about his business, how he acts, how he operates? If he's a good operator, guess what? I'm going to get good, positive feedback from the marketplace, from the grapevine. So recognize that you'll get good feedback, even like I said earlier, combining it with calling up your title company and checking. Just be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a deal with such and such. Have you ever worked with them in the past? Oh my gosh, yeah, he's a great guy. We never had an issue with him. He always comes, drops his EMD in 24 hours, right? So do your due diligence on people as well. Sam said it perfect. Check and see if it's a me thing or if it's a them thing. If you start to realize you have no reason to distrust them and it's your own apprehension, it's your own insecurities that are beginning to bubble up, you got to start stepping out on faith, and you got to do some of your own due diligence to curb that faith. And if you learn a lesson from it, beautiful. Now you know how to operate even better. I got like Hung trying to walk in the room, y'all. I got Hung in the
Wait, Hung Mai?
Oh, yo, Hung.
Hung Mai?
Bro.
The Airbnb king of Florida, Hung Mai?
Bro, you've been requested.
Airbnb king.
Yo, they don't know?
That guy, what's up, bro?
Look at him.
Everyone.
Hung, I mean, I feel like I was with you the last couple of nights or something, and now we're in two totally different states.
I'm glad you're not disowned it yet.
Dude, yeah. I mean, 50% disowned, right? So this is what happens, right? Hung was with me, guys, for this past weekend. Like, we're like tied at the hip, and then the second that I leave, he goes and just like attaches to Marlon. So I just know where we stand in our relationship. Okay. But Hung, we miss you guys. Everyone, if you're not following Hung Mai, especially on Instagram, one of the dopest human beings. And I mean, guys, I think I don't know about Alejandro, but Marlon, Daryl, and I spent quite a bit of time at Hung's Airbnb in Orlando, and oh my God, it's one of the best ones that I've ever seen. So if you guys want to find, the Airbnb, in my opinion, the Airbnb king, it's Hung Mai. So There it is, guys. At Hung Mai
You
with a
guys
little V in the
I
middle.
appreciate it.
Okay, go, dude. Go bring us a deal. Can you go bring me a deal, please? Like, can we just do a deal together?
I got
Thank
you.
you.
I
Thank
got
you, bro. Okay, guys. So as we're wrapping it up, this is what I want to talk about last minute, and then we'll kind of set expectations for next week as we continue this series. I think it's really important because we talked about, hey, like a deal is going to get stolen from you at some point. This is the unfortunate truth. But let's talk about how we can protect ourselves from that happening without just working on good faith. And this is what we call a joint venture agreement or a JV agreement, right? And guys, I firmly believe that in life we have to operate in good faith and we have to trust people. So with any of these guys on screen, including Hung, like I send Hung like 13 addresses a day and be like, bro, like, can you run this and let's just see what we can do with it together.
That's why he gets back to me so slow.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Hung is just aggregating deals from all of us, and that's just the way it is. So here's that's, there's a trust way to do this game. But while you're still building trust, you want to, do this thing called trust but verify. We do that with a JV agreement. They can very often be 1 to 2 pages. Trust me, you guys are already overthinking what this looks like. It is on paper, in fact, sometimes the simplest agreement that you will have. And a JV agreement basically just says this. Or actually, before I talk, Alejandro, what does a JV agreement typically look like? Because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
All good, man. This is all great information for everyone. But joint venture agreement, also known as JV, that's where it states the terms of what you and the JV agreed on. So you share the address. We're going to share the proceeds 50-50, 70-30. You can have as many JV as you want in there, but obviously the less you eat out the pie. But either way, a check is better than zero. But that's where you put the terms, and yeah, you send that out to the escrow company, and the escrow company is actually going to wire your funds directly, so you don't have to rely on anyone sending you your paycheck. That's what I love about JV agreements.
So there you go, guys. That is so critical. I have to say this, when you start operating with people who have an extremely high degree of trust, it's a little bit of a different story. You can take some more leniencies, right? Because there's a massive relationship. But until you're there, right? Until you're as close as I am with all the guys on the screen right here, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that, you do a JV agreement. What you can do is simply, you can go ahead and very quickly, easily Google, right? Like real estate wholesale joint venture agreement. You'll see a bunch of templates. They're all essentially the same thing. You're going to make it deal specific. And here's the most important thing that he said. It has to be held at title. If it's not held with a title company, right, or an attorney, right, if you're an attorney state, then basically does very little. It is how you secure that the funds are going to be sent directly to you from a third party that is actually being regulated. Guys, unfortunately, wholesalers aren't being regulated. I'm a massive advocate for that happening. It's not happening quite yet. But when you go and house that at title, once the deal's closed, there's a $10,000 assignment. Let's just say me and Marlon split it 50-50. The 10K is not going to go to Marlon, and then I have to trust him to Cash App me or Venmo me $5,000, right? The title company will actually do the 5 and 5 split directly.
Baby.
Daryl, bro, because we have to wrap up right here. What are we going to cover next week?
Next week? Oh my gosh! I think are we going to continue how to get $10,000 in 30 days?
Heck yeah!
There's so many different ways, right? Like that's the hard part, right? That's the fun part is figuring out which way you want to be successful in real estate, right? So we have 4 avenues to go down next week.
Yeah, so I mean, we covered getting inside of someone's acquisitions business. We covered starting with your buyer. So I think now next weekend we start to tap into a little bit about the wholesaler, going and picking up the contracts from the wholesaler. So I think next week now we can start to actually look at what's the easiest form to acquire leads, to acquire actual properties. Now that you've, this next week, hopefully everyone watching this, you should be spending the next week going and getting at least 3 to 5 strong, credible buyers, building a relationship with them, asking them what they're looking for, and then going through Facebook groups in your local marketplace to find them deals. And then next week when we come back in here, will show you how to now get off of Facebook, still leveraging a free source and doing some realtor outreach, working with other professionals. So building out I call it your power team, building out your power team of the people you need to have in order to make this business work for very little to no money at all.
Guys, this is what I'll do.
Love it.
I have one request because these guys are dropping insane value. We even got a guest appearance from freaking Hung Mai, which is really amazing because guys, he lives in Florida. He's in Arizona right now. He flew across the country just to make an appearance on our podcast. Thank you so much. So go ahead and follow Hung Mai on Instagram at Hung V Mai. One thing that I have is this: for anyone who's new and you actually don't know what a JV agreement looks like, here's what I'm gonna do for you guys. Go subscribe to all of our YouTubes. Send me a screenshot that you're subscribed to them. We'll double check it. And then I will actually go ahead and make a state-specific JV agreement for all of you guys.
Damn.
To you guys. So boom, if you guys want your first freebie, there you go. Guys, you guys are amazing. Daryl has to run because he actually has to go close a big deal right now. Any last words from my man Alejandro?
No last word. Well, yes, I guess last words. Yes, this was great. Love spending times with you guys, and I love to see the viewers continue growing and growing. So guys, if you got any type of value from this, please share this with your friends. Doesn't cost you anything. Click the link, copy the link, send it to your friends. Hey, these guys are giving out free value. So that will be much appreciated, and I appreciate everyone.
I can vouch for all of them. And here's my criteria. If you're gonna JV with someone, if you're not willing to sleep with them, don't JV with them. that's the gold nugget right there. And goodbye, everyone. I gotta catch a flight, but I'll see you guys later.
All right, there you guys go. We will see you next week. Peace, everybody.